Hello everyone and welcome back to Prestige Reef. For months now, people have been leaving comments on my videos saying things like, why have you made such an unnecessarily complicated system? Or, you don't need all that stuff to have a successful aquarium. Well, this project wasn't about what I needed. It was about making things as easy as possible. Because I am probably the laziest reefer. So today, what I'm going to do is show you why it's been built so complicated by doing a 170 litre water change without lifting a finger. And it literally starts with me sitting on the floor. Before I show you that, however, I just remembered there was a clip from that I made for Instagram last week of me fragging some Pasillipora, and I will put that in a minute before I show you the water change, just because people on Instagram liked it, so I thought I'd share it with you as well. It didn't quite go to plan, but you'll see. So I'll show you that now, and then in a second I will take you back to doing the water change. You know, sometimes you do something and then you realise you've made a fundamental error. So I was just fragging, and yeah, I may have got coral glue on my leg, and then obviously I wiped it to get rid of it, and I think it's actually, well, it's obviously made it worse. So let's see what happens. Ow. That didn't even all come off. Oh. There you go. Don't mess with Ecotech's coral glue. Right, with that out of the way, I'll show you how I do a water change. And it all starts by literally sitting on the floor. How many of you can say that you do a water change by just sitting on the floor? So let me turn the camera around. Now, the reason I'm doing a water change today is because, as you can see, I have a bacterial bloom. Now, it's not entirely unheard of for there to be a bacterial bloom during the cycle, but what I think happened was I've actually added 3 more fish now, as well as 40 torch corals, and I think that has unbalanced the bacterial load. So this is Charlie. I have had Charlie for a long, long time. Charlie's actually a really well, I mean, he's a really great fish in some extent because he's actually really friendly, and although he probably won't do it because he's probably a little bit shy of the camera, I can literally stroke him. But let's see if he'll come and let me do it. But he's actually really, really inquisitive. But I think the camera is throwing him off a little bit. But given a little bit of time, he literally comes up for a scratch. So that's why Charlie's one of my favourite fish. The problem with Charlie, however, is that he also has a very bad reputation because Charlie killed my gem tang. Charlie and my gem tang lived together for probably 6 months. I then removed Charlie to put him in a different tank just to deal with an algae issue, and then when I took Charlie out and put him back in the tank a week later, Charlie decided to kill the gem tang. So it was, as I said, I have no idea why it happened. They lived together fine for months, but that is why Charlie is both one of my favourite fish and one of my least favourite fish. The yellow tang in the top tank ended up being called Winston. So obviously, thanks for everyone who put in the comment section what to name it. As you can see, the corals don't appear to be having any negative side effect to the bacterial bloom. It's only turned up in the last couple of days, and it should burn itself off pretty quickly. So it's just not particularly attractive at the moment. What I've done is I also checked the PAR of the lights so that I could adjust them, because obviously some of the bacteria is blocking the lighting reaching the coral. So I just increased the light slightly using obviously the Mobius app. And it basically, the corals are now getting the same amount of PAR, and hopefully this will be gone in a couple of days. So let me go back to the water change. Right, now the whole reason for this tank at the bottom is not just additional water for the system. So this tank can be isolated from the rest of the tanks via this valve. So the first thing I need to do is bypass it so that the pumps and heaters and everything keep running. The only thing that stops, it basically disconnects this tank from the rest of the system. So I have to do this reasonably quickly, so I'll explain what I'm going to do first. So you bypass it, and then you isolate each of the tanks quickly, because if I don't do it quickly, it will, basically the pumps will keep draining this system into the rest of the tank. So let's start by doing this to isolate the tank. Turn that there, and then this one has to turn, and then this one has to turn, and then this one has to turn, and then this one has to turn. Right, so that tank is now completely separate from the rest of the system. The pumps become a little bit noisy as they adjust to the new flow, but they do. If you give them a second, they catch up. And then what I need to do is drain this water here out of the tank so I can refill it. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've got a temporary MP40 set up, so turn that off, and you'll see why. This is just a temporary one. The only reason it's there is because I couldn't get a cable long enough, so it's not that one's not usually going to be there. I'm going to have it installed down here soon. So now that's turned off and the rest of the system is still running, and it could run like this indefinitely. So even if I forget, it will just keep running like this. And then there's a waste pipe down there, so I just need to turn the waste pipe. And then this tank will start, to drain. Now the reason I have this here is because this shows the water level it needs to be filled to. So as soon as this tank is drained down completely, now what will happen, as you can see, the GHL is sensing that the water's getting too low, so it's turned the pump on, but it only runs for 10 seconds, and then it will turn off because it knows I'm doing a water change, and then it will automatically reset itself after that. So it should turn off any second. You can't see the pump, but it's basically draining water from here. So yeah, that's turned off now. And then, as I said, the GHL ProFlux automatically knows, because it's been on for so long, that it will that I'm doing a water change, and then it will reset itself. So as you can see, the water's drained down. This is actually the slowest part. So obviously, once this is drained down completely, I'll then show you what I do next. Right. So it's taken about 2 minutes to empty the tank. As you can see, it gets to about there, and then it can't go any further because of the bulkheads. So what I need to do now is turn the waste off, which done there, and then there is a valve here which is connected to the RO. So all I need to do, turn that, and then fill it back up to the top of this point, and then that's obviously the water bit's done. And then once that's done, once this is filled up again, which again should only take probably about 2 minutes, I'll then show you how I put the salt in and how I mix it. Now, the water that you just saw going into the tank is coming out of this 400 litre container. Now this container doesn't have any salt in it and it's not heated, but the room is kept at 24 degrees permanently, which means this water is always 24 degrees. Therefore I don't heat it before it goes into the system. So now that the tank's full, I'll show you how I put the salt in. Right, so the first thing I do is turn the MP40 back on. As you can see, I've got these sliders to reduce evaporation to create turbulent flow, and I have them on max settings, so they're on full speed at the moment. And I've measured out the salt just to make this process quicker. I don't always measure out the salt first, but it's just obviously for you guys. So this is 7 kilos of salt, which is the exact amount that's required. So all I need to do is pick up the bag, rest it on there, and then let it drip in slowly. And then let the MP40 do the rest of the work. So obviously, as I said, this system is completely separate from the rest of the system, because obviously you wouldn't want to be doing this with you wouldn't want this to be going into the rest of the system. So what I'll do is I'll leave this for a few hours just to fully mix in. So once it's completely clear, I'll then come bring you back, and yeah, there's Winston. As you can see, it's very murky, but little Winston is doing well, and there's the other new fish. So what I've got is every tank will have probably 2 tangs, 1 Acanthurus, 1 Zebrasoma, and 2 wrasse, which is most likely to be a Melanaris and probably a yellow chorus wrasse. The bacterial bloom is obviously unsightly, but it's everything is actually doing really well still. So it's just a case of riding it out. So yeah, all I do now is let the MP40 do its thing, and then I'll come back in a couple of hours. Once this is all clear and looks crystal clear again, I will then do the opposite. So where I turn each of the valves and then turn off the bypass, and it will connect the system again, and that is essentially how I do a water change. Right, so it's been a couple of hours now, and as you can see the salt has pretty much dissolved completely. There's no like clear visible patches of it. I've done a salinity test. The salinity matches the tanks above, and then all I need to do is exactly the same as what I did earlier, but in reverse, where turn each of these valves, and then this one, and then the bypass, and then that's it. I've now done a water change, because what will happen is this water will start being sucked up by the pumps again, and then gradually will mix with the rest of the system. So that really is it. It really is as simple as that. So for everyone that obviously questioned why I was doing this, this is a very tiny mic drop. Anyway, I've got to pick up the mic back up. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Please feel free to comment below if you have any questions. If you did enjoy it, why not click that like and subscribe button. Have a good week, and I'll see you next time.